Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Coffee Corner. Today is your episode 89. First of all, I got inspired by one of my friends over there talking about at what point you decide to not care that much. And also, I was listening to a podcast about communication, and it's about something like the guest speaker mentioned something about support or advice. It really reminded me of my relationship with my parents, my partner, and my friends, or even ex friends. And I definitely want to talk about that. And the interesting thing is, I kind of start to learn to, let go of a lot of things. Just, when you care too much, you are just really tearing yourself out. The podcast and then the great idea there definitely inspired me to do this video. I do want to talk about, relationship is complicated. It doesn't matter if it's a romantic relationship or, it's your family with your family members or a friendship or something like that. Um, as like when people are involved, everything is so complicated. There's no straight line. There's no, formula solution. Just nothing to that piece of relationship. And that's why communication is very important. And communication is also very complicated too. Sometimes you feel like you're doing that for uh, good reason, but then the receiver doesn't think so. Then everything you did or everything you've done is just become, nothing. So that's why I want to really talk about that. So first, let's talk about support or advice. I think the guest speaker, I would definitely find a podcast and then we'll put it here so you can, go ahead and listen to it. It's very, very inspiring. What she said is sometimes when you have a conversation or when you are engaged in a communication conversation with somebody, you have to be able to identify, is that person looking for support or is that person looking for advice? Most of the people, including myself, always want to give advice because we think we're outsiders, right? So when we look at some situations, we're definitely not we're definitely more clever, but it's something like because we're standing outside of the whole such situation, we can see that as a whole. Then we want to give advice because we want to help that person, but sometimes that person may not need it. And I think I had this conversation with my mom, and no, not conversation. We definitely had an argument a long time ago. I think a few years ago, and I think she was trying to. So she came to visit me, and she didn't like the whole uh, interior design of the house. She didn't like the layout of the something. She didn't like the carpet. She didn't like the color. She said, "Oh, you should do this. You should do that." Of course, you use "should" to give me advice, and then I said, "Well, if you don't like it, you don't have to stay here." And then she got mad. Of course, you're never gonna talk back to your parents like that. So so I said that. I said, "Wow, why are you doing that?" So my mom said, "Well, I'm doing this for you. I'm giving you advice. A lot of people love my advice or something like that." And then I still remember what I said is, "Well, some people do love your advice. I didn't ask you to give me advice. I didn't even ask you for your opinion on the whole house. You are living here. To be quite honest, you're actually a guest in this household. You are not the owner. If you decide you want to change it, you have to own the house. You have to live here as a owner. Otherwise, I didn't ask you for advice." But back then, I didn't really think about that, why advice or support or something like it really mattered that much. But now, after I listen to the podcast, I feel like some people, it's our habit. I don't know if it's a human nature, but it's definitely our habit sometimes, our default to when there's a situation, there's a problem, when there's something that we're not happy about, or other people are not happy about. Your first reaction is to find a solution, to find advice, to help that people with that situation, but we always ignore or we tend to forget. Does he or she want our advice or help? Or we always forget to ask, do you need help? Do you need my advice? Do you need my opinion on something? And then we just tend to be like, right away, of course, you're going to do this. And it would be better if you do this. And maybe that person only wants support from us. Maybe that person doesn't need anything from you. Maybe she or he just wants to, talk about things, to ramble about things, right? But for us, and especially for me, and this reminded me of my one of my friendships before. Of course, unfortunately, we said goodbye to each other. Uh, but I really remembered. She said I always gave her opinion. I always gave her advice, no matter what. And she didn't like it. She felt like I was so negative. I always criticized her style, criticized her lifestyle, criticized her everything. Well, I didn't realize that. I was thinking, as a good friend, I was responsible for you. When you need help, you come to me, I gave you advice. When you want to talk, you come to me, I gave you advice. When you're just, venting out your uh, own feelings about the relationship, about other things, I was giving you advice. And didn't realize she didn't want it. All she wanted was a support from me. She wanted me to listen to her. She wanted me to be with her. But I was trying to be an activist. I don't want to do something for her because I feel like doing something for her will make me a good friend. And of course, that friendship didn't last, and everything I did didn't work out for her and for me as well. Same thing with my parent, with my mom, and then it's kind of the other way around. Uh, it's She was trying to give me a lot of advice to make my life better, but she didn't ask me if I want it or not. Maybe I'm happy about my life right now, and sometimes I don't even complain about things. But she thought I should give her advice because she's my daughter. I want her to have a better life. If she listened to me, she'll have a better life. But to be quite honest, I'm an adult. Uh, I'm old enough to make my own decisions, and I'm old enough to be responsible for my own decisions, for my own choices, for my own, behaviors or other things. I sometimes maybe just don't really want advice from anybody. I want to live my own life. But she didn't understand. When I said that to her, she felt like I was no longer a daughter. Right? But to be quite honest, as a person, you have many roles. I'm a daughter, now I'm a mom of a kid and dog. I'm a wife. I'm also myself. I'm a woman, right? I'm a teacher, and I'm a student. Right? There are many roles, but I think they're trying to customize yourself to their preference to make them feel so happy about how they want you to become. Um, Again, I think that happens to me too. I sometimes do that to other people. I want to make them look like what I want, right? But I didn't realize that. I think it's a habit, right? So that's why I always, and after listening to the podcast, I kept reminding myself sometimes when friends come to me, I have to ask myself, do they want my support or do they want my advice? If they say, babe, what do you think about this? I really need your help. Then I'm going to help them. If they say, oh, I just feel so terrible. I feel so down. I just don't know what to do. I really, highly doubt myself. Then that's when I need to support them because I'm not going to say, well, you know what? You should get up at 7 o'clock. You should go jog and you should, do more things to occupy yourself or something like that. They don't want it. They know that people are smart. We're smart. We know what to do. We just don't want to do it. And that's when we want support, not solutions or advice. Anyway, so that was my point of view about that. I was like, oh, I really was trying to think about myself. It is a good thing when you listen to something and then you reflect on it, right? You're learning, you're improving. So that's my point of view on that. And then back to what I said in the very beginning, I think one of my friends out there, she was talking about as a teacher, at what point you started to not care about every single student that much. I think it's about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. If you still remember, I hated my previous job because I was the only one who cared about learning, right? All my students didn't. So I was trying so hard to motivate them, to encourage them. I was trying so hard to find more interesting and learnable materials for them. Nobody cared. I was designing whole curriculum for them. Nobody cared. And even my whole management team didn't care. They were like, wow, you just do your job and get them past, get them through the stage and get them move on to next level. I was like, I was exhausted. And I realized that there are some people who just don't like studying and who just don't care that much. If you're forcing yourself to force them to meet your own requirement, you're sabotaging yourself. Right? And then people tend to do that. We always sabotage ourselves. So I don't want to do it. And that's when I got anxiety. Right? And I really hated myself. I still remember how much pressure I had when I worked there. And every day after work, I started to skipping because I was trying to get rid of all the thoughts, and it was trying to stop my mind spinning. So that was how I thought about, I cared too much about everyone. But the thing is, it's like you can't make everybody like you. It's you can't make everybody happy, and you can't care about everyone. Same thing. So when it comes to that, I started to learn. It took me a while to realize how to manage myself, how to manage my work, how to take care of my mental health. Is you can't, as a teacher, at some point you start to realize a certain group of people, certain group of students, they want to learn because they'll ask you more, for more. And then certain group of people, they just don't care. And you can customize your teaching methods. You can customize your feelings towards them. For students who want to learn more, you can offer more, right? You can still make a good lesson. You can still try to use the best materials, resources, or methodology you could to help them. But if the other group of students don't care, then you don't care too. Because to be quite honest, you're not their parents. Whether they're going to be successful or not, it's not your responsibility, right? So that's what I've been telling myself. Switching to this job definitely helped me with my mental health. Of course, I love my job there. While I was teaching there, there's like a 2/3 of students who loved my teaching. They came every day, and there was like I didn't even want to take a day off when I was sick. I just wanted to study with you. For those students, I actually gave them more learning resources, as long as they want them. I don't want to overwhelm them. So I would ask. Again, asking is a good habit. I would ask, do you want more of this? Or like, do you want to learn more? Do you need my help? And then I gave them more. For a certain group of people, all they want is they only care about, is this on the test? Are we going to use this? Am I going to learn this and pass my test? Things like that with a very specific purpose. I know they don't want to learn more. They just want to pass a test. If that's the case, I'll do my best to help them pass the test. So as I kind of found my own rhythm about teaching like that, I became happier. I'm not sent. You're not sent. You can't save everybody. What you can do is do your best. You are not. So let's put this away. You're not trying to degrade yourself, right? You don't want to lower your own standard, but for some people, but also you don't want to force other people to meet your own standard. What you can do is to be yourself. So be yourself. If you like to be a responsible teacher, responsible person, responsible employee, do it. Whether other people care or not, you're doing it for yourself. I remember one thing I did on Quora. It was a question about, have you ever felt underappreciated at work? I actually really answered that question. When you feel underappreciated, sometimes you lose motivation, right? So you don't want to continue. Same thing when you realize not everyone cares about how hard you work or how much you think for them. You lose the motivation to do more because you feel like, wow, it's just a job or it's just a thing. That's okay, but you know what? The most important thing is yourself. You have to think about yourself. Is doing this helping me? Is doing this helping me with my future, with myself? Then you do it. So when I answered the question to how, have I ever felt underappreciated at work? I said, yes, I always felt that way. My first job at a language school, because it's quite honest that discrimination is very subtle. Like you sometimes you can feel it, you can sense it, but you can't tell it. So I was working there. Of course, I was not a teacher, and I was doing shredding paper, filing students' files, documents, and I was taking students for a tour and everything like that. only a few times they would ask if I ever want to cover for some teachers because they were sick, right? That was like emergency call. I said, sure. And then I took every chance I could to teach because that was my goal. So you have to figure out what your goal is to start your journey. So I wanted to become a teacher, so I had to take a chance to it. Working there gave me a chance, even though I didn't start as a teacher. Working at a school means I do have a chance to learn more, to get a first dib. And I think my first lesson I was teaching there, and my director, and he came to the class right in front of me. He asked all the students, how was my accent? I was shocked, right? So I was like, oh, but all the students were like so positive that, oh, I love Bay and she's so good. She can explain things so well in a simple way. So I was a little bit awkward, but also a little bit angry when he asked that question. And I've done so much, and they still thought I was lucky, not I was really capable. What did I do? I didn't say anything. I just smile away, and I start to work harder. And also when they were questioning me because my appearance, then I started to work on my accent and work on my speaking, because I don't want people to say, well, she's Chinese. Of course she can't teach English, because nobody wants a Chinese person to teach English in an English-speaking country. So I was really working hard to improve myself. Have I ever felt upset, angry, furious about that? Yes, of course. Have I ever felt underappreciated? Yes, of course, because I worked so hard. 90% of my effort went to my accent exercise. But maybe I got 10% of the results out of that. But am I happy about it? Yes, because see where I am now. I really appreciate the effort I paid in the past. So what I wanted to say when I use this example is, if you ever go through those kind of stages, if you ever go through those kind of times that you feel like nobody cherishes you, nobody cares about you, or nobody really appreciates your work, you don't think about other people. You don't think about what they think about you. You think about yourself. Have you ever learned anything, right? Even if I don't like this job, I've learned a lot. I learned how to communicate with the students, how to deal with the difficult situations. I learned a whole system of how to file documents. I even learned how to do accounting with them. And of course, shredding paper, I've found my own rhythm. Shredding paper is actually really meaningless work, but during that time, I was able to put my headphones on, was really listening to podcasts. That's when I started to listen to podcasts really well. And that's when my listening has gone really better. And that's when my speaking has gone really better, because I was listening so much during the shredding paper time. So you know what? If that job is meaningless, you're going to have to find your own rhythm to improve yourself in some way. You don't waste the time. So I really appreciate those kind of things I've done there. I really appreciate the time there, because it gave me plenty of time to improve myself rather than, think low of myself, right? So that is what you can do when you feel the downtime, when you feel that other people don't care about you. But of course, this is just my very own opinion. Whether you take it or not, it's out there. I hope some of the videos can give you a little bit, ideas to help yourself. I read a comment, it's like, I'm not teaching, but I'm teaching. And it's really like style. I hope I can be a little bit useful. Sometimes I know this is a chit chat video and it doesn't have any logic, it doesn't have any theme. I don't even have a purpose of doing that. I just feel like, urge to talk about things. And because I've gone through those difficult times. So I hope I can help people who are going through difficult times right now, too. And some of young students, right? So 17, 18 years old, you're going through the most important life stage right now. And then some of people are going to university, start their new life. Some of people are graduating and they're going to find a jobs. Those are a lot of things that right at this moment you feel like that's the most crucial time for you in your life, because you at this moment your life is just right there, but you don't think about 10 years 10 years later or 20 years later, where will you be, right? So you don't think about that. You think right at this moment everything is a big thing. It's okay, everything is a big thing at this moment, and you have to handle that well. But how are you going to handle that well? You have to think about yourself, not other people. I tend to, and I said this in the previous video, I care about what other people think. And I always feel like, first thing I do when I do something is what other people think about that. But I'm learning too. I want to do something for me. I say, oh, when I do this, oh, other people are going to think, she sounds stupid, she sounds silly, that's really pointless, or her video doesn't have any logic, and it's just, oh, she should do this. If I listen to everybody, then I'm going to get lost. But right now, I feel like it's my own rhythm to do everything, and I practice my English, I share my ideas with you guys, and you share your stories with me, and then we find each other as, a really good friend there. We can communicate. Maybe it's just for a small group of people, but you know what? You can always find someone who supports you, who gives you good ideas, who gives you advice. But it just takes time. And do you care about a small group of people, or you want to please everybody? So that is your choice. And this is why I was talking about, giving advice or giving support, or do you care about a lot of people? You have to know what you want. And it is okay if you don't know what you want, because if you're still young, life is still long ahead of you, and then it takes time to figure out what you want when you don't. But you know what? Because you're young, and feel free to try it. If you make mistake, as long as it's not major mistakes, you should try it. Making mistakes is a good thing, really. Okay, so that's everything about this video. I hope you like it, and don't forget to like the video, share the video, and subscribe if you haven't yet. You see, I'm learning during the end, and I need to do a better job at my intro. Anyway, so I hope you like it, and I hope you have a great summer. Okay, I'll see you next time.